Welcome to the Belonging Podcast by Elevate Villages. I'm your host, Melissa Kaye, and I am delighted today to be joined by Sam Jockel, who is the CEO and founder of ParentTV. Sam is also the producer of the brilliant and must-see documentary, Seen. Sam, it's such an honor to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me.
No problem at all. It is awesome to be here.
So I saw your documentary a few months ago, and congrats, shout out to the documentary. It's called Seen. It is a stunning documentary. The cinematography is intimate and immersive. The arc of storytelling is so beautifully constructed. And then the voices you feature, they're raw, they're courageous, and they just really are profoundly moving. So it feels so like emotionally honest in the way that you tell the story. So I just really from my heart wanted to say congratulations and thank you for making this film.
Yeah, no worries. I feel like when I hear you say that, I definitely feel like I need to, like Haley Bartholomew, the director, really, like those elements that you brought up were really her genius and her work. I feel like it's always an interesting thing because often I'm the person people are talking to, but in truth, like really, the film is a collaboration of so many people and so many people's skills to get it to be what it is. And really, and that's been a beautiful thing for me to see when I even think about the name of this podcast, Belonging. Seen is probably one of the things that has been the most profound thing that I've led and been involved in my life. And that
Yeah.
really was a we, it wasn't a me. Like Seen wouldn't exist without
Right.
we. And we was needed and
Mm.
relationship and trust and all of those things for things like Seen to exist in this world. Like it definitely is a community, a result of community, not a result of individual. I'm not sure one person could have
Right.
made that film. Actually, one
No.
person couldn't have made that film.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a lot of the great things, probably all the great things in life take the we, not the
Yeah.
me. Yeah. So what led you to producing this documentary?
So, I mean, you said earlier, I've been the founder of Parent TV. So that that's something that's been around for nearly 10 years. So it's a little bit like, think of it like Netflix for parenting resources. We brought together
Cool.
some of the world's leading parenting educators, lots of allied health professionals. There's 2,000 videos on the platform. And really, it exists as a tool where parents have questions to come and get information quickly from credible people. And there's no sales. No one's trying to push anything. There's no agenda in it. It is trying to just connect people to credible information around child development and things like that. And I founded that platform and was working on that for a good probably 6, 7 years. Our customers are actually schools, childcare centres, libraries, people who have parents as a part of their community. And those parents are often coming and asking for help, but those people are often not there to actually parent parents. They're there to educate kids. And so there was this kind of gap. Parents were asking for support. And so Parent TV was something that could kind of sit in the middle of that. And everyone was like, yes, yes, we totally want this. But then I say it's like the gym membership that everybody wants the thing, but never gets around to going to the thing and doing the thing. Because actually when we go and
Yeah.
do the thing, it's like, ugh, this is hard and actually not very fun. And I'm really tired and maybe I'm just going to watch Netflix instead because that actually is fun. We need help with this. But when it came to actually doing the work, there was just this big disconnect. And I wondered why people do go to the gym now. When I talk about the gym, it's like 30 years ago, maybe there was only one gym in your local area and just people occasionally went. But now there's gyms on every corner. They're packed. I go to, like, people are open and into doing this work now. And so I had a question. How can we move our thinking around this emotional work, this parenting work, to be something more like what is reflective of people's ability to do the physical stuff more than we ever have before. Like, what was that shift? And I actually think the shift was social media, was that online piece, was that place where we are seeing a lot of examples of what health does look like. People are talking about it more, and we're starting to want that because we're seeing why that's valuable or important. And I felt like there wasn't really many examples in culture in those media spaces of, like, generally most of the parenting narrative is quite negative in some ways, or we're just seeing really horrible things. And so, interesting fact, when The Biggest Loser came out, what they actually found was people watched it and went, I'm not that fat, I'm fine. So it actually resulted in the opposite outcome for culture. It's like, compared to that, like, we're good. If you map that same concept to parenting, most of what we see online is, kids shooting kids at schools or going and, to shopping centers and like stealing cars. And so for a lot of parents, I think you can look at all of that and go, holy moly, like, my kids are not that bad, they're fine. When actually they're struggling. And actually things aren't ideal. If we were to truly look at the stats of what's happening for our kids, there has been a massive increase in mental health, and they do actually need more of our attention, and it shouldn't need to get to the point that it gets to of complete and utter dire crisis before they have that. And so I guess the challenge for me was, how and what can we do to help start a conversation culturally and with parents that inspires them, maybe challenges them a bit. If you are going to go to the gym and get healthy, it is going to hurt and it is going to be work. You can't sugarcoat the work that needs to happen to get healthy. And that's the same as this, but how can we also give people a vision of what's possible, a different story, inspire them to want more for themselves, for their relationships, for their kids, and to see that it's possible. And so that really, for me, was the direction of what I wanted Scene to go in. And that, coupled with my own personal lived experience. I have 3 children. So they're 18, 15 and 11 now. So I've been in it for 18 years, married for 21 years. My husband's a primary school teacher. I've been in the parenting space a long time. A little bit like Anne in the film, I was doing what the book says to do. I was doing all the right things. I was learning the tips and the tricks and the blah, 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 but things still weren't working. Like, there was still a miss in the outcome that I was looking for, and this disconnect. And I had my own healing experience, or wake up experience, when my eldest daughter was about 12. And I remember yelling at her over our kitchen table, like, you're giving me anxiety and I can't cope. To which she said to me, what kind of mother tells their child they're the reason for their mental health issues? I love this child. Like, I love my eldest. She has been the one who has just fought back the whole time. And by fight back, I just mean, and I love our kids. I love my kids for this. When I blame her for what is mine to own, she says, no freaking way, you have that back. Now, for a lot of parents, they would call that disrespect. They would say, don't speak to me like that. But I was always one with a curious mind, and I appreciate my children when they are clever. Clever is kind of a value I think we have in our house, just somehow. And I'd be like, you clever little thing. And then sometimes I'd find myself going, she's right. And I'm proud of you for not letting me put all of my stuff all over you and taking that on. She was just like, I'm not carrying it. Now I have another child who'll carry it. I was the child who carried it, but my eldest was just like, no. And like, good on her. What a brave and strong and amazing kid who helped me grow up, who helped me own what was mine to own. So I had that lived experience with her, and instead of blaming her, I was listening I was always, funnily enough, Samantha means the listener, which is my name. And even though I
Oh.
talk a lot, I also listen a lot. I hear, like I can
Mhm.
hear beyond what the words are sometimes. So yeah, having been through and having to really face myself and own what was mine to own in my own parenting, which transformed my whole family, which completely transformed my relationships with my kids. I knew in my heart of hearts that with what's happening with parenting at the moment, actually a lot of it is ours to own as the parents. And we're so focused on the kids and we're putting them into psychologists and their mental health issues. And I'm like, this isn't their work to do, guys. This is ours. Like, I've lived it firsthand. We shift. We are the leaders in our homes. We set the tone. We hold the energy. If something's not right, that's on us. And we need to do the work. And our kids actually don't need to do anything. We just need to lead, and I see that. So Scene is it's a parenting documentary with a very clear shift of lens that is about parents understanding what their place in the family system, I guess. Because often it's easy to look at our children and say this is all falling apart because of them, because their behavior, because of their needs, because they're blah 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 blah. But that also means that then our children are in the lead, that it's their
Mhm.
responsibility to change for everything to be okay. That is a
Yes.
heavy and very big weight for children to carry. Like, we're the adults telling the kids, like, you
Make it all
are in the
good.
lead of this entire situation. You're calling the shots. This is all on you. For this
Mm.
to change, you have to change. We are totally powerless in this situation. That's
Mhm.
wild to put on a child.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There was there was so much in the movie, and let me tell you real quick how the movie affected me, having never had children of my own. I have had a foster daughter, and now I'm work with foster youth who've aged out of the system, which means in the US, that means they're 18 or 19. The state
Yeah.
goes, "Mm, we're not going to take care of you anymore." And they're kind of on their own. Um, However, having never had my own children, watching the film still, it brought up like old wounds.
Yeah.
It also helped me, like, it illuminated a lot of the healing that I've done, but it also confirmed for me, like, the biggest thing that's making me do the work I do, which is that love matters most. And it struck me so powerfully watching the children, like, soften as they saw their parents soften. And so, like, I think a lot of us, I was born in the 70s, and, we were raised with a lot of like judgment and dominance and control. And it seemed in the film that when that was released by the parents and that the child was simply seen, that there was such a profound difference between like being told they were loved, but actually feeling loved. And so, like, watching it as a non-parent, it still was profound for me. And so I thought, again, kudos to you and to the writers and the director for being able to capture that and really capture it in, like, I'm gonna say, like, a most human way. Like, I want to treat humans better having watched your movie, not just,
Yeah.
children. Maybe it's because I don't have my own, but showing how much love matters. And so for this podcast, we talk about belonging, and I want to get into this a little bit further during our time together, but watching the film and, like, talking about being seen, like, really seen. As I watched, I was like, "Man, is that belonging? Do we know we belong when somebody really sees us?"
I learned that I really belong when I actually saw myself.
Mm.
So I don't know if you're aware of Brene Brown's book, Brene Brown's work, but I think Braving
Yeah.
the Wilderness is her book that's on belonging. That was a significant book that, like, in my journey of healing, and that book was probably something that I was reading at the moment where there were lots of shifts happening for me. And belonging was something that I never felt as a child. I still really struggle with as an adult. Like, I am
Mhm.
not neuronormal, and nothing I've ever done in this world has been standard. Like, I am not a standard person. And for me, belonging always looked like it felt like you had to be standard to belong, and there was just a consistent disconnect. Everybody talks about authenticity and being freely who you are. As someone who has always been freely who they are, like, at its extreme, that also has a lot of pain. So it isn't it's pain to try and fit in when you don't feel like you can be who you are. Let me just tell you, there's a lot of pain in being who you are, because often you don't fit in. Like, there's a middle ground somewhere, understanding my story, why I was the way that I was, so that I could control myself and also have compassion for myself, and then understand that I had needs, that it was okay to have needs. Then that maps to other people, and it being okay for them to have needs and for those to be considered, and for us to do the dance of meeting in the middle, which is where I say complete authenticity and being who you are is not meeting in the middle sometimes. It's like this mix of, because sometimes you do have to forego what you need in consideration of what someone else needs, because so much of where the pain of my life has been when our unconscious needs are in direct conflict to each other. That's where war breaks out, when our unconscious needs are in direct conflict. And both people are right. They have a right to their needs. They have a right to, but if we can't articulate it, talk about it, know who we are, understand it, listen to someone else articulate it, get a read on who they are and understand it. At that point, two people can negotiate a middle ground. I'm seeing such a strong narrative of like all these red flags and all this stuff around safety and safe spaces. I feel like that has become safety equals me completely being understood and getting my needs met. But truth is that the hardest parts of life are when two people's needs are in direct conflict to each other and they both make sense. And so if you can only ever have safety when it's completely about you and your needs, there's something not right about that. Safety is in everybody being understood and listened to and seen, and everyone having to hold a little bit of uncomfortableness because it's not all about them. And so it isn't just flow and beauty and peace and kumbaya. That's not real.
Yeah.
It is hard and uncomfortable and beautiful, all in the same breath, where we can all just be loved and accepted in the completeness of our humanity. Like, for me, that's belonging. It's like belonging sounds like a word when you say it that just feels like, oh, that's so nice. And it is. And in the same breath, there's also going to be some pain there.
Kind of
if
going
it's
back.
real.
Yeah, going back to the gym analogy, like, who wouldn't want to be just fit and perfect and beautiful and healthy, but all the work that it takes to get there. So I love where your thoughts are going with this, because belonging or being seen, being human, having community and connection, while it is very beautiful, like being fit, you got to do a lot of work to get there.
And maintain it. So it's not just the work to get there. Like, once you're there,
Get there, and then you're
you're just not there for the rest of your life. You're like, I've got to this ideal weight that I feel really comfortable and healthy in my body.
All done.
And now I don't need to do anything ever again. Like, it doesn't work like that. The biggest pain is getting there and realizing you're not there. Like, it doesn't stop now
There is
that
no
you're
there.
there.
It's like a journey that, the there is,
Yeah.
it's a moving target.
Yeah, I've been seeing a few Instagrammy things, and it's true, just saying everyone wants to be a part of the village, but no one wants to be a villager.
Oh, that's good.
We all want to be part of the village, that's support, but we don't want to be the person who's supporting. We want to be the person who is being supported.
Yeah.
So we have villages full of people who want to be supported. But you actually have to have people supporting. And who is that?
It's interesting. And I wonder if that's why we've wandered so far away from like village being. It's rare that you see people who are checking on their neighbors. And that's why the foster system is so overrun right now, because nobody's responsible for anyone else. Like, well, they're not my kids. Well, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. Wow. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
And I think I'm someone who thinks about that a lot. And having done lots of big stuff in some ways in the world, sometimes I'm like, sometimes I feel like I got it wrong. And maybe what the world needs is people who are just fostering kids and talking to their neighbor. And we can be so busy trying to do these epic things. This is the harm.
Yeah.
The harm that happens in those spaces is we're so focused, invested in trying to change the world that we completely neglect and miss our own worlds
The
and
world
the
right in
people
front of us.
that
Yeah.
are right in front of us.
Absolutely.
And so while I'm out doing Parent TV and scene and think about this scene circles thing, I'm also, the further and more excited I get, the more that takes me away from actually just being in my life with my kids.
Yeah.
Because that feels, to do that well, requires a lot. Of you just being available and present, not even doing the dishes and the washing, but just them knowing they are not a bother and getting in the way of the real important work of your life. They are the real important
They
work.
are the important
It's
work.
like
Absolutely.
this is getting in the, but we live in a culture where the opposite is true. It's no one's fault. It's just what we have become because we value, because we're just built on this commercial economic system now that says your worth and value as a person is in the job you have, how much you earn, what you're contributing to this system, not the mother
And
that you
doesn't
are, the
that,
husband that you are.
doesn't that almost feel like the easy way out of connection? Like, well, we could have these really dynamic villages and communities and people, and it's going to be really hard work, or we can just go grind every day and have lots of stuff.
Yeah, it's,
It's kind of easier.
it's just hard. Like I feel like I'm in midlife and every day I have to psychologically go to the gym to continue to get my head straight about how I make decisions and what's important. And it's relentless. The pull of the world is like a drug. It is. And as soon as you just get a bit of a taste of that again, or you're just back and getting validation and getting this and having, you're back on the drug. And it's so easy to justify because it's not a drug and because the world will say, wow, that's amazing. And it will give you awards and everyone will point to it and say, yeah, just amazing. No one says, let's unpack this a little bit. What was the true cost of that?
Absolutely.
I'm pretty sure you could go into people's marriages and families and ask what the true cost of that. We're seeing the true cost of that. We're at a 60% divorce rate?
Yeah.
We're having a crisis of estrangement of like parents and children and like
Mental health crisis.
Mental health crisis.
Sorts
what
of stuff.
the cost of that is, but no one's talking about that really. We're still just giving awards to it, like, which says this is the way, guys. This is the most important thing. This is what we're valuing. This is what we're talking about. This is what we say is amazing. Yeah, so I'm always kind of doing this dance between chasing that because I'm built for it and it feels good.
Yeah. Well, kudos for you for staying in the dance. Not just leaving the dance floor and going, like, "Psh, that's too hard. The dance is too hard. You got to
Yeah.
stay
But
in it."
then, I mean, having said all that and talking about this belonging village stuff, like, and in the exact same breath, I can't tell you how much I love my kids and how much joy they give me. Like, just being in my house, saying goodbye to my daughter this morning as she was going to college, like to university open day, like for her first, and seeing the excitement in her and just witnessing that. Like, if I was working 5 days a week in the city with my team of 10 and in a beautiful office, I wouldn't have been here. And like,
Yeah.
that's the joy of my life. Like, I'm so looking forward to her
Mm.
coming home this afternoon. I mean, it could be that she was super disappointed and it wasn't what she imagined. And I just get to help her with that, if that's true. And that's fine too. Or it could be that she had the best time ever. Like, both of those stories, I'm actually okay with. And just knowing I was there is like, there is more joy in that for me than any stage that I've stood on
Mm.
and delivered a presentation to. Like, that is just so real. That's what I'm going to be thinking about on my deathbed. That's what I want them to say at my funeral. Just to have my kids on stage, just like, I love mum and she loved us. Like, that's it. Like, that versus like, Sam, she won awards for this documentary and blah, blah, blah. And then my kids just sit there having to listen to that, going, I didn't get who was that person.
Yeah.
I don't know who that person, like, I don't feel anything when I hear that. Actually, I feel grief when I hear that because I feel like I missed out. I think about that and I'm like, very, like, that will not be my legacy.
There's something in the movie about legacy, about
Yeah,
a
Selena
huge part of
says,
me will follow my kids, something like that.
yeah, and there's a statement, it's in the trailer, that we often talk about our house being a legacy, and she says something about, why don't you think about me leaving myself in them as a legacy, and that
It's
will have the
powerful.
biggest impact of all.
How did do you feel like producing the documentary changed you as a person and as a mom, or do you think you had done that change and the documentary is kind of a mirror of it?
No, I definitely think that producing the documentary changed something in me. The director and I kind of spoke about this a bit at the launch, but we are both really different people. And I would say on some level, what we needed was in direct conflict to each other. So we had an experience creating this documentary that was that asked a lot of both of us. And we had to stay in this and it got very hard. She's an artist, and in order for her to feel like she could do her best art, she needed complete freedom. I'm a producer, and in order for me to plan and produce this thing, I needed structure and timelines and a plan and a whole heap of things. And neither one of us had successfully, up until the point of singing, done a big project with another person and completed it. Scene asked more of both of us to stay in it than anything. This was the first project that we both came into understanding who we are and what we needed, and were able to have the calmest conversations that we could have had at the moments when it got hard, which resulted in us actually staying in it and finishing. And this is what you get. You get something extraordinary. That's what I learned, but I also learned that was bloody hard to get there. It was a
I don't
very...
think, yeah, I don't think extraordinary ever comes easy. Like, if you want extraordinary, you've got to do the hard work.
Yeah, there is this dance. And the only way through is understanding, is actually seeing each other, listening to, knowing who each other are, understanding where this is coming from, and both people being open and willing to accept the other person and their story and believing them, even if you don't understand. And so one of the things that I often say is, if we're both true, what does that mean? If we're both right, then what do we do? So often I say wars and conflicts break out because either person is trying to be right and they're doing everything that they can to prove that they are the one who's right. Because if I'm right, then we need to do it my way.
Right.
For me, the question is no longer who's right, but what if we're both right?
Now, how can
And
we move
just,
toward connection instead of distance?
yeah.
Even
And
if
what
we're
does
both
it
right,
mean?
being opposite.
Yeah.
Like, my right is your wrong and your right is my wrong. But do we care enough? Do we have the skills? Do we have the tools to where we can choose? It sounds like you and the director chose to do the work, to stay connected, and to get to somehow bring the best of both of you out.
Yeah.
And then it
And
truly
that
was an extraordinary result.
was, yeah. So that's what I learned. I mean, I know you asked me the question, but that's where I go when you ask me that question. Like, did I change? Yes. That is the first time in my business life
Wow.
that I have not gone to war, but chose to feel my pain and not put it on the other person, but also ask for what I need and listen to them when they tell me what they need and do the best that I can to honor myself.
What made you stick it out? What
The
made you get to
vision,
the point where you could build this new amazing skill?
vision.
The vision?
Yeah. I had such a strong vision and belief in what we were doing that I could put myself aside. That's why I just know vision's important. Like, I don't think that we can do the work of what we need to do, even as parents, without a vision. I want to enjoy life, not endure it. And I feel like I look around and see that a lot of people are enduring their relationships, they're enduring their children, they're enduring their partners. They're not enjoying it. What does it
Mhm.
mean? What do I need to do to enjoy it? And what I need to do, because often the narrative in the past is, what do you need to do
Right?
so that I will enjoy this? You're the problem. But the shift, and that's what's seen as, is what do I need to do? So for me, I need to know what it is that I need, and I need to ask for it in calm and considered ways. And I need to listen to what you need, and I need to consider that in the context of what I need. We
Mm.
need to work together to help meet each other's needs. But my job was always not knowing what I needed. Like, I'm just someone who's like, I just need everybody to be happy and to not have a problem. So I'm going to work really hard so you're all happy. That is a problematic situation that ends up me just being pissed off at everybody that I'm spending my life trying to make everybody happy. Because I can't cope when they're not happy. So what I need is to be fine when people aren't fine, and to not feel like that's my job to fix, because being unhappy is a part of life. And nothing bad is happening if I'm disappointed, or I'm struggling, or I had a bad day, or I have to do something that I don't want to do. Welcome to life. But yeah, me learning to cope with people annoyed is still the journey of my life.
That reminds me, there was a quote, I think one of the fathers said it. He said, can you hold love no matter what? Hold love for the children or for your husband or for yourself?
Yeah.
And how do you juggle and hold love for all of that?
And the other piece of trickiness that kind of comes into it for me is I think that I'm a high achiever / perfectionist. So sometimes I think that my journey is to not actually keep trying to be better, but to actually be fine with it not being that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that
That's
isn't
hard. That's hard.
Realistic that isn't what life is. And to have the bar at life looking like just warm and connected and great all the time is unrealistic to be shooting for and feel responsible for. And also it's exhausting for everybody around me. I did get That's Enough Now tattooed on my arm, smiley tattoo.
That's beautiful.
A month before we launched Scene. That was my reminder to myself. Like, we've done enough. We are enough. It is enough. There is enough here. You are enough. Yeah. My default in seeing myself was that I was never enough, and it was never enough. And it didn't matter what I did, what I achieved. I still felt like people wouldn't listen to me, or I wouldn't. Yeah. That's the energy I would walk in with. So I was always trying to justify myself, and that was the self-sabotaging piece of then people would be like, well, maybe she doesn't deserve a toast. She seems to be working really hard trying to convince
She's so
us
busy
all
taking care of the rest of us. She
that
doesn't have time to
she
sit down at
deserves
the
to
table.
be here, that maybe she shouldn't. But then I just was like, oh, I just have your table. I'm just hanging out with my kids. Like, yeah. I'm still trying to figure all that out.
I know the movie's been out almost a year. Congratulations, it'll be a year next week, I think. What gives you the most hope right now in parenting moving forward?
Well, that the conversations just started. Like, I think things take time. That's what I've realized. Like, things happen when the time is right. I always try to push things to happen like way sooner than like things are ready. I have
hear you there.
done a lot of harm to myself and to other people trying to force things before they were ready.
Ooh, that's good.
And I feel hope that the lights are coming on and we are starting to have more of these conversations, and we're starting to understand our place in this. If that's true and we are moving that direction, this next bit that's coming for parents is going to be really, really hard. And there's going to be a lot of very challenging feelings that are going to emerge, and we have to feel to move it so we free our children from that. So this next bit, it's like the start is just like a wake up shift. Once you actually move into that work, really, it's like it's facing the flames stuff.
Yeah.
But that's why you have to have the vision, because what's on the other side of that is still hard. Don't get me wrong. As I say, you still got to go to the gym, but now you're just going to the gym and you've built the muscles and you understand the pain and you can hold it, instead of that first going where you're just like, feel like you're going to die.
And you still are fat. Yeah. Yeah.
So this
Or
next
out of
bit
shape.
is,
Or, yeah.
now we know we've got to go to the gym.
That's right.
And
let's go.
we're going to need some help with that. And we need help. So, like, I just have hot tips for everyone. Like, get yourself a personal trainer. Do group work. Like, don't just go it alone. Like, the hardest journey, I think, is when you try and do it on your own with no plan. That's probably the biggest way to stop, is to just not be supported, don't have a plan. That's how I operated for a long time. Just go in with enthusiasm.
With enthusiasm.
And no support and no plan. Enthusiasm will only take you so far.
Yes, that's true. So what's next? Do you have something in line to help parents who've, going, I want to heal, and I want to make sure generationally I make this better for my kids and their kids. And
well, that is what I have been sitting with. And so, having kind of done step one, which has just been turning the lights on. Ooh, now I can see. It's kind of, I've had an idea sitting with me for a little while, as that kind of like what next from scene. I'm calling it scene circles.
Scene circles. Okay.
Yeah. And so the concept is like an emotional fitness gym or a parenting feelings gym. We actually really need spaces that we can go to where we bring this struggle and the hard stuff to just have ourselves seen in that hard and held and place to also witness other people. What I've learned is the biggest shift happened for me when I was honest and told the truth, and that I didn't experience judgment. So I say it's like we need places we can bring all of our ugly bits, all of the really bad, selfish, ugly, truthful things, where that actually is seen and witnessed in a space where people just say, it's okay. It's us, like it's all of us, because it is. So scene circles for me is about creating spaces for parents where they're able to show up and just tell the truth. Like,
be seen.
Be seen. I feel like I don't like my child.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I felt like that before.
Right.
There's no shame
anymore.
It's okay. And then suddenly that shifts and you're like, oh no, I do actually like them. But just the process of being able to admit that shit, like it's just I have had extraordinary things happen through saying things that people would say, you are never allowed to admit to that. And I've said it, and then everything got better. Because it's not the full story. We give things so much power when we hide them in the dark. Bring it to the light of day, it disperses, and then we can talk about it, and then we can realize it's everyone else too. And then suddenly it's not so powerful, and suddenly it's not the story. It's a part of the story. But I think when we omit things from the story, they become the story. The omissions become the story. Scene circles will be online because people can join from all over the world. Like it spaces that go for like 60 minutes. It'll be clearly facilitated. It's not just like show up and whoever's the loudest on the day says all the things. It's a facilitated space with agreements and trust and direction where people get their time and space if they want it that day. Scene circles is a space where people can come and practice that. We need to go to the gym and practice that.
You're doing such powerful and beautiful work, and you have such clarity of the complexity of it. There's no formula that's going to get you there. The work's going to get you there. The gym reps are going to get you there. Thank you for being in this space so authentically and asking yourself the questions and knowing you don't have it figured out, but leading with your heart and leading with vision, giving parents and non-parents, just giving us humans a clearer look at how we can be together and how we can show up.
Yeah.
So that takes me to our last question of the podcast. So the film ends with all of the voices in the film answering a question So I decided you needed to answer that question. So if you could go back to your 4 or 5-year-old self,
Wow.
what
Mhm.
would you tell yourself?
What would I tell yourself? It had nothing to do with you.
Mm,
Yeah,
beautiful.
I think so. I think that would be, um, yeah, that's what I hold about everything now when I see the pain of it all in the people that I love the most. I
Mm,
just know it had nothing to do with me. And it had nothing to do with you, and it's not your work to fix. Or you can't, it's not your work, like
yeah.
you can't, it's not yours. Yeah. I've spent my whole life wanting to make everybody better. It's even reflected in Parent TV and Scene. But I believed very naively, I still feel that small child, that somehow if I just got it right, if I just understand
Yeah.
and get the perfect, pieces in place, then it'll all click. Then they'll be better. And then
Yeah.
I'll have that thing, and then they'll be able to see me and meet me there and play with me and, you know, but yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for bringing your heart to us today. All of it open and authentic. And thank you for this film. Thank you. And if you talk to your team, please give them a hearty thank you from the Belonging Podcast. Sam, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here with us.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
We also want to say thank you to our patron, Deanna Laughlin. Thank you so much for making the Belonging Podcast possible. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in for another episode of the Belonging Podcast by Elevate Villages, where we build belonging together.